So, let me ask you a question. Is it possible for an AI to be more than just a tool for developers? I mean, can it actually be a creative partner? Today, we're going to dive deep into Claude AI and see how it's trying to become a genuine collaborator in the world of software development.
Okay, that is a huge statement right there. I don't write code by hand anymore. Is this for real? Is this where software development is actually headed? Can an AI really just take over the keyboard? Let's break down how this is even possible and what it means for all of us who write code.
You know, the key to really getting the most out of something like this is a mindset shift. Seriously, instead of thinking of Claude as some tool you just give commands to, try to imagine it as a new senior engineer joining your team, a collaborator you can plan with, debate ideas with, and, ultimately build some really great software with.
And let's be super clear about this. The goal isn't replacement, it's augmentation. The whole idea is to let the AI handle all that repetitive, tedious, boilerplate stuff that we all hate doing. This frees you up to focus on the bigger picture, right? The architecture, the user experience, the really tough creative problems that still absolutely need a human touch.
All right, let's make this real. Enough with the theory. We're going to walk through building a brand new application from the ground up, starting with nothing more than a simple idea.
Every single developer knows this feeling, right? That blank page problem. You've got this awesome concept in your head, but turning that into the first few lines of actual code, well, it can be pretty daunting. And this is exactly where having an AI partner can make a world of difference. So, how do you kick off the conversation? Well, you could give it a really vague prompt, something like, make a chore app, but you're going to get a much better result with a detailed one. One that not only lists what you want, but actually asks Claude to ask you questions to clarify things. It's a simple principle, Better input leads to way better output. This whole process is really the heart of the collaboration, and it's called plan mode. It's this fantastic back and forth conversation. You start with your idea, Claude comes back with questions to make sure it really gets it, and you provide the answers. And based on all that, it creates a super detailed implementation plan. The best part? You get to review and approve everything before a single line of code gets written. And this is the key takeaway here. You are always the project lead. It's a dialogue. You can look at the plan and spot things you want to change. Maybe it suggests using JavaScript, but you're thinking, nah, I prefer TypeScript. You just tell it to make the change and boom, it adjusts the entire plan. You're in complete control. Okay, starting a brand new project is one thing, but what about all those existing projects out there? How do you bring your new AI teammate into a massive, complex code base that's already running in production?
This is a huge challenge, right? How in the world do you get an AI to understand your project's very specific architecture, its coding standards, all the business logic? And maybe more importantly, how do you make sure it's an effective and safe contributor right from day one?
The solution is this really simple but powerful idea, a file called Claude.md. Just think of it like an instruction manual for your project, written specifically for the AI. This file gets loaded up automatically in every session, giving Claude all the context it needs to understand your code base every single time. It's brilliant.
So what do you actually put in this manual? Well, it's usually broken down into 3 key layers. First, the technical stuff, your tech stack, your project structure. Second, the why, the purpose of key components. And finally, the operational rules, the how, like, hey, always create a new Git branch before you start a bug fix. Okay, so we've seen how to build an app from scratch. We've seen how to onboard our AI partner to an existing project. Now, let's get a little more ambitious. Let's look at making a really major architectural change. For a task like this, there's this feature called YOLO mode. And yep, that is its actual name. In this mode, Claude just executes commands without asking for your approval first. It is incredibly fast, it is incredibly powerful, but it obviously requires a lot of trust. You got to use this one with caution.
So imagine a really complex task, like adding real-time syncing between browser tabs. Using YOLO mode, Claude can implement this whole thing by setting up a WebSocket server, which is just a way to keep a connection open for real-time data, and then refactoring the whole application. I mean, this is a task that might take a human developer hours, and it was done in about 5 minutes. Wild.
So let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture. This isn't just about writing prompts and getting code back. If you really want to work effectively with an AI partner, it's best to follow a structured, professional development cycle.
A really solid workflow follows 4 key steps. First, you explore the code base with the AI to get a deep understanding of it. Then, you collaborate on a plan for the changes you want to make. Once that plan is approved, you let the AI do the coding. And finally, and this part is crucial, you, the human, review, verify, and commit the changes.
And that final step is absolutely critical. It is so important to use your version control diligently. Commit your changes early, commit them often. Because the AI works so fast, it can sometimes introduce bugs or weird side effects. Having a clean history of commits gives you that safety net, right? It lets you experiment and easily roll back to a working state if anything goes wrong.
And all of this brings us to a final, much bigger question. This new way of working, it's more than just a productivity hack. It could fundamentally change the creative process of making software. So what becomes possible when your most senior engineering partner is infinitely fast, incredibly knowledgeable, and literally never gets tired? That's a fascinating future to